let's dive in. So the first thing I want to talk about is what are keywords and what are smart tags. So smart tags are automatically generated by Mylio Photos, and they are made using computer vision. So when you bring new pictures into Mylio, Mylio does a scan of all of your media, and that's when things happen like facial recognition and all sorts of really cool stuff happens when you bring pictures into Mylio Photos. And one of those is it scanning your pictures for objects. And that's how we develop those AI smart tags. So there's two places in Mylio Photos where you can interact with those smart tags. The first one is going to be over here on the left under quick filters. And you can quickly filter your library by smart tags. The other is going to be over here in the info panel. And here's all the smart tags that are associated with this particular selected image. Now, keywords, if you guys can hear me okay, I didn't realize my microphone was off to the side there, so I need to fix that for you. All right, so keywords, on the other hand, are things that you enter. Mylio doesn't control those. Those are completely controlled by you. And those get entered either upon import. So when you're importing things into Mylio Photos, there is a way to add those keywords on import. And you can also add them at any time here in the keyword section. You can enter them for one image. You can select multiple images and go ahead and type in keywords that are associated with all those photos. So when I did this particular import, let me go ahead and scroll up to a different batch here. You can see that I did an import here and I added Santee Lakes, which is where I shot these photos, as a keyword. I can then go through and say, you know what, these are all American egrets. And the cool thing is you can promote smart tags to actual keywords. So here's one of the big differences between keywords and smart tags, other than one's AI generated, one is generated by you. So smart tags are a Mylio specific feature. That means that any of the smart tags that are in Mylio Photos and associated with your pictures, those are only going to be available to you from within Mylio Photos. If you take one of these photos and open it up in another application, that application is not going to be able to see that smart tag. However, if you go ahead and click this check mark and you promote it to an actual keyword, keywords are saved in your XMP metadata in an industry standard format. That means that every single application out there, or just about everyone that reads XMP files, will be able to see that keyword you just added. So that's super helpful. These are all animals. Yep, let's go ahead and check that off. They're all birds. Color I'm going to leave alone. Let's see, go ahead and take a look at some of the rest of these here. And this is a really great way to add additional information to all of these different pictures. So yes, these were taken at a lake. Yes, there's water. And some of these visual properties, I don't necessarily need to have those in my keywords, but I still want to keep them there because it helps make these images easier to find and search from within Mylio Photos. So that's the biggest difference here between keywords and smart tags. When you go up here and you type in to find a filter, so let's go ahead and say cat. And I know I've added things as keywords listing cat, but right here, the only two parameters currently that this searches are the AI smart tags and your folder names. If you want to search everything, you'd go up here and click the search field here. If I type in cat, that's going to actually look for all of my pictures. I have cat in the file name, cat in the title, cat in the caption, keywords, smart tags, everything. So it's going to do a different type of search within my library. So using the search up here is going to search also your keywords, whereas using the search at the top of the quick filters is only going to currently search the smart tag. That's going to be changing in the future, but I wanted to let you know that that's one small difference right now. Another thing to take a look at is a question that I get often is, how do I organize my keywords? So we do have some really great things in the works for hierarchical keywords, being able to organize your keywords in a better hierarchy. And that's part of the framework for this is what we have here for smart tags. So that's coming in the future. But for right now, I know a lot of you probably added keywords in different applications. Maybe you've added in keywords that are a little bit similar, but not exactly the same. And I want to show you where you can take a look and see all of the keywords that you've entered. Now, the most common place to go look here is in the dashboard. Under library stats, you can see keywords. And this is going to list every single keyword in your library. Now, the thing I don't like about this list is you can't change the sort order. So it automatically defaults to the number of photos that have that particular keyword. And you can't really see which ones, maybe you had something that was misspelled. Those two things aren't next to each other. And it's not as easy to manage. But from here, what you can do is you can always click on that number and it's going to take you to every single photo that has that keyword. And you can see exactly what the search is up here at the top if you ever want to replicate that. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And instead, I'm going to jump back over here to all photos. I'm going to show you my favorite way to find my keyword list. It's a little bit hidden and most people don't know about it. But if you go up here to the search field and then you go all the way over here to this little tiny disclosure error and you go here to the filter search by rating, at the top, there's a keywords area. If you click this list, this gives you an alphabetical list of all your keywords. So now you can go down through this list and start finding things that are similar or cleaning out things that you don't want to have in there. So a couple of them that I found for myself are, let's say, desserts and dessert. So when you put in something in a plural and you put it in a singular. So let me find that in the list here. I know it's here. There we go. We have dessert and desserts. So I'm going to go ahead and click on desserts and see what it pulls up. It pulls up one picture. And I want this one to just have the singular. So I'm going to actually just go in here into my list and I can just delete it here. The other thing I can do is I can modify this search real quick and see if this picture also comes up under just dessert. And there it did. From here, what I can do is I can select all of these images. So Command or Control A, or you can go to the Actions menu and choose Select All. And then you'll notice here under the keywords section, because we have multiple pictures selected, there's now an Edit Keywords option. I can go ahead and click into this and see if any of these need to be adjusted. So we go ahead and scroll down the list, and I'm going to find that one that has desserts plural. There it is. And you can see that there's one image that has that particular keyword. And I'm going to go ahead and just remove it and apply. And now that keyword has been removed from this and from all the other images if there had been other images with that particular keyword. So now, if I go ahead and try to do that search with the plural of desserts, there's nothing there. So you can go through and incrementally clean these things up, and it'll make your life a little bit easier. Let's do another one. I've had pictures from a park called Bayview Park. And again, I'm going to go up here to this drop down at the top and click into this field here and scroll down. And anytime you're in a really long scroll list in Mylio, you might notice that one of these little flags pops up here on the right. You can always just grab that with your mouse or tap and hold if you're on a touchscreen device and use that to drag. So that makes things a little bit faster and easier. So I'm looking for Bayview Park. So I already found this one earlier. There we go. I have Bayview Park, and then I have Bayview Park as all one word. Well, I think this one is the more correct and the one that I prefer to use. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that one. The picture doesn't even show up. I'm not sure what that is. I think it's an old TIFF file, so I can probably fix that. But what I want to do is go in here and I want to click into this field, and I can just easily delete this particular keyword and call that good and click out of there. And now you'll see it reran that search and that picture no longer shows up. So there's no more results. Let's go ahead and do one more that I think is going to be a common one that a lot of people encounter is sometimes you put things in with capitalizations and sometimes you don't. So for instance, I did that with San Francisco. So if I go here and go into my keywords list again, and I'm going to grab that flag here and just drag down and find San Francisco. All right. There it is. You'll see that I have it with caps and I have it without caps. Now, it's completely up to you which you prefer to use. But as you can see here, I have a lot of other proper nouns and I have pretty much nothing capitalized. That was the parameters that I gave myself when I set up my keywords. And you can see sometimes I broke it, but for the most part, everything is lowercase. So I want to go ahead and remove the one that has all the uppercase. So let's go ahead and click on that. And you can see there's quite a few. So what I can do here is, again, I can do the Command or Control A to select all of them. Go over here to Edit Keywords. And I want to make sure all of these have the lowercase San Francisco. So I'm going to put the check mark there. So make that's added to all of them. And then I'm going to scroll down to where I had San Francisco in caps. If I can find it. I know it's in here somewhere. There's a lot of different keywords on this, so bear with me. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. There we go. And it's actually only one image in there that I had it capitalized, but I can go ahead and mark that with the X, say apply, and that updates the keywords for all of these images. And now if I go to look for the keywords San Francisco uppercase, it's still going to find it because Mylio is not case specific, but in my keyword list, the keyword list is case specific. So it's still going to find all of those images, whether I use caps up here or not. And that just cleans up my keyword list. So if you're a little bit of a perfectionist like me and you like to have things hyper organized, you're going to love that little tip. All right. So I think that pretty much covers the editing of keywords and how to use keywords and smart tags and how they're different. Let me go ahead and open up the floor to questions and take a look at the chat to see what you guys are doing here. So go ahead and unmute if you have any questions. And I also have, go ahead.
I was going to say, George had a question that's at the top of the chat about the XF data.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and scroll up here. And it looks like you beat me to putting in the link for the manual. Thank you so much. All right, let me see if I can find this. After I have my photos in Mylio, can I re-import update EXIF IPTC data from the originals again after I change these, for example, in other apps like Lightroom? So if you make changes to the EXIF in Lightroom, Mylio is automatically going to see that. So one thing you have to do in, say, Lightroom Classic is you do have to save any changes to XMP. And sometimes you have to manually do that for that change to take effect, but then Mylio will read it. So for instance, I was doing some editing actually on this batch of images yesterday. I was in Adobe Camera Raw. I was able to set color labels and star ratings there. And those immediately showed back up in my Mylio library when they were brought back into Mylio. Let's see here.
Quick, I just want to reiterate. So changes that are made to the XMP sidecar file, Mylio is always going to recognize. If the change is made to the EXIF data on the original file by any application, Mylio will not recognize that because Mylio only reads that data during the initial import. So that's a very important differentiation.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see here. I searched once for yellow, and like in the demo, it returned with a lot of green. So if you're searching in the smart tags for the colors, let's see, we go down here to the visual properties and we choose color. And you said you were looking for yellow. Let me go down here to yellow. So yellow and green are actually very, very similar on the spectrum. And a lot of what our eyes see as yellow is actually green, or green is actually yellow, because those colors are just so closely related. If you ever go into an application that has HSL controls, hue, saturation, and luminance, and you take a look at those yellow sliders, you're moving things to be more yellow or more green, and it's adding in the blue or the, what's on the other end of the spectrum there. It's really adjusting it. So they're very similar, and we are working on better isolating these colors for the visual properties in the AI smart tags. So that will get better. But that's just something to be aware of, that, a lot of what we recognize our eyes see as green actually has quite a lot of yellow in it. And you can also adjust this. So if you go down here to the to adjust the sensitivity, you could say you want this to be more accurate and apply, and it's going to go a little bit more yellow. So that's another way to adjust that. All right. So looks like Mark gave some console controls. Awesome. Thanks, Mark, for sharing that.
Okay, Angela, there's more to that. I just put that in if somebody happens to want a sorted list of keywords in the console and they don't happen to know SQL and don't keep up with the ongoing SQL changes to Mylio's database. This is current. It does work as of right now. The importance of this is the reason you got San Francisco in there with uppercase and you only have one of them is you probably added a picture and you typed it in that way. And that's because Mylio doesn't have incremental search on keywords, at least yet. I don't know if it's coming or not. I found a solution for this because I came from Lightroom also with over 100,000 pictures, and it's a problem. Every time you enter new stuff, you got more duplicates because you don't remember how you did it last time. How you get around it is a program called Keyboard Maestro. And what's important here is if you take that query and you run it, you can take that list and save it into a text file. Then you click on the keyword field. And in my case, I hit Option Command /, but that's just because I programmed it that way. And it brings up a search box from Keyword Maestro. I type in what I want, and it does the incremental search on the list of keywords that I had saved out of Mylio. And then you just hit enter when you find the right one, and you'll never get duplicates that way. It's a really simple solution. I actually have documented the entire process in the community, but I can't find it now. I don't know how to find my own stuff. I've tried.
Oh, no, you should be able to go to your profile and see all of your own posts, but it might, if it was a while ago, it really amazes me how much I actually do post there because I sometimes have to go looking way, way back for things.
Yeah, Darren just responded to that. If you want to go through this sometime, Angela, I can do it with you if you'd like to give a session on it, because Keyboard Maestro is a really cheap program, and it's a godsend till if or when Mylio adds incremental search. I was spoiled by it because Lightroom had it, and I wasn't really willing to give it up just because I was willing to give up Adobe.
Gotcha. All right. So the next question we have here is from Carol. I missed a step on going from the magnifying glass to viewing the alpha list of keywords. Let's go ahead and review that one more time for anybody who missed it. You click on the magnifying glass up here in the upper left. And then if you go all the way over here to the right to this little tiny arrow, click on the arrow, go to this middle one, the star icon, and then you have keywords and ratings and all this other stuff. But here's the keyword list. You click on this disclosure arrow, and there's your alphabetical list of keywords. So I hope that helped there, Carol. Let's see what else we've got here. Dennis says, how does the taxonomy of smart tags get extended? I also photograph waterfowl. So if you go to the feature request forum inside of forum.mylio.com, there are threads in there about our keywords and our smart tags rather, and how we're expanding those and refining them. So I encourage you to log in there and participate and see what you're asking about. Let's see here. So it's just, you have to understand that this is 22.2 is our first foray into smart tags. And the list is already quite long and quite valuable, but it is only going to get better from here. So lots of good stuff coming.
Thank you.
All right. You're very welcome. Des says, off-topic question. Is it possible to sync Mylio to all devices without them being open at the same time? So you do need to have at least 2 devices open at the same time for them to sync. So let's say you want to have your iPad syncing to everything on your computer and your external drives. You'll need to have your computer and those external drives connected and have your iPad running at the same time. And then later on, if your computer's off, but your iPad is fully synced, and then you open up your iPhone, those things should be able to sync as well. All right. Let's see here. It looks like Karen, maybe a question for JC.
Hey, actually, Angela, can we go back to that last question really quick? The question from Deb.
Sure.
The easiest way to sync devices without them being open all the time is to add a cloud device.
Yeah.
So for example, I use 2 cloud devices in my account. I have OneDrive and I have Backblaze. Backblaze is a full vault. It's set up to be a full vault. So everything that I save to Mylio gets saved to Backblaze. The other one is OneDrive. OneDrive, I don't want to pay for extra storage. So I just use it as a 30-day device. So the last 30 days worth of photos are always on OneDrive. And that way, if I add photos to my computer at home from one of my cameras, like from a memory card, those new ones go to OneDrive. And then later on, I'm across town and I open my phone that wasn't synced to those new photos. Those new photos will come in because they can come in from OneDrive. So that is a workaround to not having to have all of your devices open at any one time. Of course, the drawback is the same drawback that any cloud synchronization has, which is you're going to be using your internet connectivity, you're going to be using your data allocation. You have to be connected to the internet for those cloud devices to work. But that's the beauty of Mylio. It's flexible, that if you want the benefits of cloud, you can have them.
JC, I have a question on that. You said you use Backblaze as a vault. I have Backblaze and it backs up the entire drive in my MacBook Pro, and Mylio is inside my home folder. But that doesn't make Backblaze a vault. That just means it's backing up my Mylio vault. Is there a way you can actually make it a vault?
So is your computer, if your computer is set up as a vault and that computer is being saved to Backblaze, then it is a copy, but it's outside of the purview of Mylio. In other words, your Mylio account doesn't know that copy exists. You would have to restore that to your computer, and Mylio would see it just as being that device. You can use Backblaze B2 specifically. So it's a different product from Backblaze as an S3 cloud device in Mylio. Okay. And that's the one that I'm referring to. So I probably should be more specific when I say that. I get it. Backblaze B2 is an S3 protocol cloud service that you can add to Mylio, and it works great, and it's fairly economical compared to the likes of Google Drive or OneDrive.
Will that work with Google Drive?
Yes, Mylio will work with Google Drive.
No, but I mean, when you have Google Drive and you also have Mylio on your iPhone or iPad, will it link up the way it was suggested with OneDrive?
If you have added Google Drive as a device in Mylio, yes, it will work the same way that I was describing. It just has to be a device in Mylio. And keep in mind that cloud devices in Mylio are slightly different from actual hardware devices in that you don't have access to the entire file system organization like you would say on your hard drives. The cloud devices are really meant to be managed by Mylio. So you won't be able to go in there and find your files manually. You have to use Mylio to browse and to retrieve the data from those cloud services, excuse me.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the next question from Karen. Deals with asset management. As a previous Aperture user, I'm most interested in Mylio's capabilities. I would like to kill iCloud, but after watching many videos in Mylio regarding iCloud and reviewing the detailed user manual, I don't see a way to do this. Right now, Mylio is feeding off of iCloud. If I end iCloud, I'm not sure what will happen in Mylio. Yeah. So JC, do you want to tackle that one?
Sure. Really, you can't kill iCloud. You just have to have, I would recommend no less than 2 vaults set up with Mylio. So if you have 2 vaults, say you have, let's use the cloud example again, although you're trying to get off cloud. Let's say you have 2 hard drives connected to 2 different computers, and your entire Mylio library has been saved to those drives. Now you can kill iCloud. You can get rid of iCloud because all the photos in iCloud has been saved to Mylio. You would want to turn iCloud photos off from your phone. I'm assuming that you have your phone connected, either your phone or your Apple Photos library on your computer connected. That's what's using iCloud currently. So once you have those vaults set up and they've been fully synced, meaning everything that came from iCloud has been saved to those devices as full copies, you can, in your Apple devices, turn off iCloud photo library so that Apple Photos is not uploading your photos to iCloud. Mylio will get any new photos you take with your phone from the phone itself. And at that point, things keep being saved to those vaults and you can get rid of iCloud. I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, put a follow-up.
Absolutely. All right, Carol says, I don't have a down arrow on the far right of the search box. Is that something that was just added? No, that's actually been there for a long, long time. You just have to make sure to click on the search icon first, and then the arrow will appear. If the search is not active, then the arrow disappears. All right, Harold says, could you go over finding and correcting keywords like you did with San Francisco? Harold, can you give me a little bit more information? Do you want me to just go over to run through the process one more time?
Well, I see where the list drops down, and then what you just search for I got how you search for the one, but then how do you? I can't find where you made the X's and check marks.
Gotcha. So you have to go through, go ahead and find, let's just find something else here that needs to be cleaned up. So in order to get the, with the X's and the check marks, you have to have multiple, here's another one, bird.
There's bird.
Bird, and birds. Let's go ahead and find bird uppercase here. So what I can do here is do a Command or Control A to select all of these images, or you can go down to the actions menu and choose select all down here if you're on a touch device. So once I have all those images selected, then I can go over here to the keywords section, and that's when the edit keywords button pops up. You have to have multiple images selected. Then I can go into edit keywords, and I can go find, there's uppercase bird. Let's go ahead and X that. And then lowercase bird, I'm going to go ahead and check mark that. And then while I'm in here, I had birds plural. So let's see if we can fix any of those too. 1 second. Might take a little while to find. But essentially,
I missed the edit keywords button.
Birds plural. Let's go ahead and X that one and then hit apply. And then that changes it for all of the selected images. All right.
All right. So you just can. So now you need to go find the birds plural and fix that too.
Yep, I can do that as well. So let's just go ahead and change those. I can. You don't have to go back up into the drop down since the search is already here and I know what I'm looking for. I can go that I grabbed it already. So it was already part of that one search. So that's been fixed.
Okay. Good. No, I missed that button. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. All right. Darren wants to see native birds to New Zealand added. That would be awesome. Again, if you have examples and specific smart tags that you'd like to see added, add that feedback at forum.mylio.com. Our developers are keeping a really close eye on that, and they're also working really hard to train the AI to do even better. I know the filter here for blurry, I feel still needs a little bit of work. So I got in touch with the developer who's working on that last week, and I sent him about 20 images actually from this shoot of all images that were blurry that the AI wasn't seeing. So all of that helps and makes the AI better and smarter. So if you feel like sharing that stuff, that would be awesome. All right.
Thanks, Angela. I certainly will have a look at doing that. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Let's see here. So Deb's saying, would crash plan be included, used as well for a cloud drive? I don't believe that crash plan has an S3 option. So what happens with Backblaze? Backblaze has two distinct products. One is the Backblaze that most people use that backs up your entire computer, and it runs in the background, and it's completely separate from anything Mylio. They also have a service that's an S3 protocol service. And there's a lot of companies that have S3 services. So Amazon AWS is one of them. Wasabi has one, I believe. iDrive has one. There's several out there, but they have their own S3 service at Backblaze, and it's called Backblaze B2. And that's what works specifically with Mylio Photos, and it can be used as a vault. I don't believe that CrashPlan has an S3 service, but I could be wrong. So please feel free to correct me if I missed something there. But CrashPlan is also great just for backing up your entire computer. So please don't feel like you need to change that, because there's more on all of our machines than just our photos.
Oftentimes, the limitation for us to add a cloud service is what the application program interface, in other words, what the connections and hookups that service allows for third parties lets us do. There's certain things that we need, and if those things are not there, we simply don't support those cloud services because we run the risk of having data loss rather than data safe. Keep in mind that most cloud services work in as a syncing service. And anytime that you have two syncing service or two cooks in the kitchen, basically two services trying to do the same thing, you're going to have some conflicts. So if the service offers us the ability to avoid those conflicts so that no data is lost, then we support it. Otherwise, we leave it out because we're not in the business of losing data.
Good info. All right, Karen says, I haven't seen this issue addressed. If Mylio does not use the cloud, how does it keep all of my computers and iOS devices in sync? That's an awesome question. So when you have Mylio Photos Plus, that includes the syncing between your different devices and allows you to have remote access. That works because all of those devices are logged into your Mylio account. So each of those devices goes up to our servers, and it creates what we call a handshake between those different devices when you're logged in and authenticated as being the same user on your iPhone, let's say your computer. And then from there, that handshake allows your two devices to talk directly to each other. So Mylio as a company is not seeing any of your pictures or any of your data. All we're doing is just connecting those two devices, making that secure connection and allowing them to talk directly to each other. All right, let's see here.
Hey, Angela, I wanted to address what George mentioned, where he removed Apple Photos on all his devices and he does the manual import into his NAS, which is a great idea and it does work very well. Just want a key differentiation of having a connection to Apple Photos directly into Mylio versus not having that connection. Special photos taken with your iOS devices, things like live photos or portrait mode, those specialties are going to be lost if you're not using the direct synchronization with Apple Photos. So in other words, Mylio knows how to read a portrait photo, how to read a live photo, and still retrieve all the assets that compose that image. Whereas if you're just doing a direct export and import, you're just getting the display image. Take a live photo, for example. A live photo is comprised of a keyframe, the frame that got selected to represent that photo, and then a little video. When you are synchronizing Apple Photos and Mylio directly, Mylio brings both of those assets and you can still see the live photo in Mylio. That is not the case if you are doing a direct import from your phone to your NAS, because it only brings that keyframe, that one photo. So you wouldn't have the video part of it. So that's something to be aware of. For many people, it's not important because they don't use those modes, but I just want people to know about it.
JC, can I ask a question as well about the difference between...
Sorry.
You there, JC? Yeah, it's Darren here. Can I just ask a difference around
Absolutely.
when I plug my iPhone in, it says, do you want to import these Apple photos? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, so if Mylio is connected to your phone and your phone is a device in Mylio, and when you first install Mylio on your phone, you said, yes, connect to my Apple Photos, and you have an Apple Photos folder in Mylio with your device in it, Mylio is going to import the photos directly from the phone.
Yes.
And it's going to bring those special format photos directly because
that's great.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. That's really good. And what I do is have Mylio running obviously on my iPhone, and as soon as I take a photo, it pushes it straight into the Mylio catalog, and then it's going into the Apple folder. What I do refer to though is when I also plug my phone in through a USB cable, Lightning cable, into my laptop at home, it also says, would you like to import these Apple photos? You know, the little pop-up thing that comes up. I thought that, I always say no, because I thought that was a duplication of what I'm doing through the synchronization of my mobile.
It would be, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're referring to Apple Photos importing those photos, right? Not Mylio. Or are you referring?
No, Mylio. When I plug my iPhone in, I sit back at my laptop and I plug it in, and it says, "Oh, I've recognized your phone. I'd like to import these photos." Well, I've already done it.
That would be indeed a duplication, and it more likely than not, it would not include the special format files.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So the
I
direct
think I understand.
connection, I don't know if you can see here on my screen and where has the file name. So I went over here to the quick filters and I pulled up my live photos. So with this image, I did an edit on it in Apple Photos, which makes my live photo into a long exposure. That's that JPEG file right there. The MYB file is all of that information that makes it a live photo, and then the original HEIC. And because I have all of that information, I can actually click this live button and it turns it back into the little mini video.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
So all of that information is here in Mylio.
And that would have been achieved when you had Mylio running on your iOS device. You took those photos and then it automatically synchronized and put it in the catalog. Is that correct?
Say that one more time.
I can answer.
Yeah. So
okay, go ahead,
please.
JC.
Thank you, JC. Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, we taught Mylio how to read the Apple Photos library. So when you have a device with an Apple Photos library in it, an iPhone, your computer, an iPad, Mylio is looking at the Apple Photos library and is asking it, hey, what new stuff you have? And the Apple Photos library says, I have this live photo, and I have 3 other normal photos, and I have this portrait mode photo. And Mylio goes, okay, give me all of that. When Mylio receives the assets for, say, the live photo, it receives a video and it receives a display file, a keyframe. So Mylio saves both. If you look at the example that Angela has there on the screen, and you look at the file name, you see that for that particular file, there's actually 4, or for that particular image, there's actually 4 files. There's an HEIC, that's the original photo that was taken with the phone. There's an MY, and that HEIC, and both the HEIC and the JPEG are the keyframes of that mini video. The MYB is a file format that we invented. It's really just a zip file that contains the little movie in it. And then the XMP you're all familiar with. So there's 4 files that comprise this live image. And if you were to go back to Apple Photos and change the keyframe that is being displayed, a different HEIC and a different JPEG would be generated for that file.
Thank you for the explanation.
So that is because Mylio understands that all of these assets comprise part of the same image. But if you do this outside of Mylio, you only get the HEIC.
All right. So I think that answers Dana's comment. Carol says, why doesn't Mylio import my screenshots? That there could be a couple of reasons there. One is when you go ahead and take your screenshot, let's say you text that screenshot to a friend, and then you exit out of the screenshot and you don't say save to camera roll. It may not be saved to your camera roll. Might have gotten deleted before Mylio can see it. But if you do have screenshots, you can go into here by file type. So under by file type, and under screenshots, that's going to actually pull up any screenshots that you have in your library. So you can see that I have screenshots of things that I was taking, thinking I might get my dad for Father's Day and for my husband. So this one's for my dad and this one's for my husband. So let's see, they are saved in the camera roll. They're still there and they're not coming into Mylio. Any ideas, JC?
No, I think what you mentioned is the most likely scenario. If they're not saved to the camera roll, Mylio's not aware of them.
Let's see here. I want to have a backup of my iPhone images on my NAS. That's why I did it manually. What would be the best way to achieve this? Jorg, I would say to connect Mylio to your iPhone, have Mylio running on your iPhone, let it synchronize everything in to bring things in as Mylio normally does. And then to have your NAS set up as a vault, and everything will automatically get also put on your vault. Anything to add to that, JC?
No, you got it.
All right.
Really quickly, Dana asked if an MYB file is a live photo file, and the answer is yes, sometimes, but it can be other things too.
Correct.
So an MYB is Mylio's way of dealing with any assets that are part of an image, but that need to be kept, but need to be differentiated so that they don't clutter your file system with something that you might not know what it is. So we just packetize them and put them inside an MYB file. And a little trick for those of you that are adventurous enough to try it, you can grab an MYB file, make a copy of it, and take it outside that folder to a folder that Mylio is not linked to, and change the extension to .zip and double click on it, and you'll be able to see what assets are inside of it. So for what
It's a fun tip.
For the
See,
marks
Carol,
of the world.
Carol says that her screenshots are on the iPad in Photos. Carol, can you clarify that you also have Mylio Photos installed on your iPad and connected, so it's importing from your iPad as well, or are you just importing from your iPhone? That could also be an issue. Let's see here. Karen says, just to reconfirm, if I already have created vaults of iCloud and I turn off iCloud, the iOS device will save all the special characteristics going forward to Mylio. That's correct. All you'll need to do is open Mylio on your phone. It'll import everything that's recent, and everything will get backed up and synced to your vaults. So is there documentation on the Apple thing? There is quite a lot in the manual. Let me see if I can find a couple of articles here. I'll put them in there. And then if you have other questions, feel free to get in touch with us in the community or in the forums, and we'll do our best to clarify anything for you. So let's see here. Find those. There we go. Grab that, and I'll pop this into the chat. There we go. And let's see here. Carol, is still not happening. Okay, so what I might recommend, JC, would the best thing be for her to reach out to support since certain files aren't coming in from her iPhone and her iPad?
Is it specifically screenshots?
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, send us a message to support, but if you don't mind, be very specific about the workflow, like how you're taking the screenshot and what you're doing with it, so that we can try to recreate it. Sometimes there's bugs, sometimes there's little idiosyncrasies that we haven't noticed before. And really, a lot of what the support team does is that when somebody sends us a unique problem like that, we try to recreate that problem. We try to go through the steps, so that the more detailed you can be with your steps and your process, the easier it is for us to recreate it and try to replicate the issue and then fix it.
Perfect. And just to make it easy for you, click on the help icon here at the upper right. And the best way to get in touch with our support team is just to go there and then go down here to contact Mylio support. If you'd like, you can go ahead and put that attention JC, since he already knows a little bit about it. And like you said, as much information as you can give us about your exact steps is the better we can do for you. All right. Are there any other questions before we wrap up for today? I'm glad this was helpful. Thanks for coming. All right, let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I want to thank you guys all for joining us today. This has been a fun session, a lot of great questions. If you have any other questions that come up between now and the next coffee break, feel free to reach out to me in the community and I'll do my best to help you. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Thank you, Lori and JC, for your help. Oh, go ahead.
Please tell your friends about us.
Yes. That goes without saying, right? Absolutely.
They can't stop me. They can't stop me, and they're getting annoyed with me. But yes, I do all the time.
Great. Love to hear
Just
it.
make sure you tell them they can try Mylio Photos for free now. So in addition to the free trial of Mylio Photos Plus, there's the Mylio Photos, which is free for one device, and you get access to most of these features for free.
Yeah, I've tried all sorts, but yes, that's certainly a good lever all the time. Well done, team. I love the app.
Wonderful. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time and hope you enjoy the rest of your week.